Hey there guys, Next Striker here, back again for another video, and this one is going to be a very interesting one because I already know that this one's going to be really, really hated, and people are going to be very, very different on this video. So I already know coming into this that I'm walking into a minefield, okay? I mean, it's pretty much like denying that a religion is right or something like that. Something that will just really step on people's toes. But, you know, as much as that's true, I still gotta make the video. I've had a passion for this ever since the ending of Korra came out. And there's things that I've been wanting to say, and I feel like I've let enough time pass for everyone to get all their little giddiness out of the series ending, blah blah blah. And now I feel like it's time for me to really dissect the ending and say why it sucked. For a series ending. Now, for a season ending, it was okay. I felt like it played it kind of safe. It wasn't really like a bad ending in any way. It wasn't really like a great ending either. It was alright. It was alright. If there had been another season after season 4, I think it would have been more appreciated. Kind of like how season 3 didn't necessarily leave us on a high note or wrap anything up necessarily, because you knew there'd be a 4th season. So if they had had a 5th season planned out, I would have been like, okay, season's ended nicely, whatever. But the fact that this is the last season, I guess it's a season ending this whole Kuvira story, it was okay. It was alright. But as a series ending, it sucked on multiple levels, and here's why. Okay, first off, what is the focus of this ending? Okay, focus of this ending is a wedding of two characters that are somewhat important, but they're not really main characters either. They're kind of, I guess, secondary characters, you want to call them that. I have nothing against Varric. I think I really like Varric as a character. And Julie, I like both of them actually. But their wedding being the focus of pretty much the whole ending, and I'm talking about after they beat Kuvira, obviously, because that's like the ending, after they wrap up the villain. That whole wedding it just felt unnecessary, because if you look at all of the Legend of Korra, it wasn't really about them, so it just felt kind of weird to focus on those characters. Now, having that be a part of the ending would have been okay for me, because doing something with characters, developing them, blah blah blah, that's fine and everything. I have no problem with that. But it was the whole ending, basically. And the other part of the ending was, of course, the thing that's caused so much controversy. I don't even need to say what that is. You guys know what I'm talking about. Have your own thoughts on that, whatever. The relationship was not very developed. People will say it's because Nickelodeon wouldn't allow them to do that, because SpongeBob's on their network, which I really find that annoying when people blame SpongeBob for that, whatever. SpongeBob back in its prime was actually a good cartoon, just so people know. Anyway, going back to the topic at hand, the relationship wasn't very developed. That's true regardless as to whatever reason it was. So whatever step forward they were trying to take for humanity, or whatever people want to say, whatever side of the coin you want to stay on, I don't really think that that's the problem with this ending. But again, just with the wedding, was this ever really important to the story? No, it definitely was not. And if you look back at the first 2 seasons, even really the first 3 seasons of Korra, those 2 characters I don't know, they just didn't seem like they had any sort of attraction to each other. Now the 4th season, they started to flirt with the idea a little bit. You could tell if you paid attention. I noticed they didn't focus on it, so it wasn't like a fleshed out thing. That's why a lot of people say it came out of nowhere. They did have some little hints and keys along the way, but overall it wasn't very developed. So it felt very odd, regardless if you liked it or not, for the series to end that way. People say, well, it was just like the ending with The Last Airbender. Kinda was, yes, but see, the thing with the last Airbender ending is that they kind of built that up all the way through, and that's where I'm getting at with this. With Korra, they didn't. They kind of just did it to be edgy, honestly. That's why they did it. Whether they just like that and they're just like, we're gonna make a stand for humanity, or they just wanted to do it and see what people thought, I don't know. Whatever the case was, though, it didn't come off very well. It really didn't. And look at the series as a whole. There's a lot of things that happened that should have been wrapped up and they weren't. So let's look at the characters, okay? Korra, the main character. She was the only character I feel like that was very, very well developed. And she should have been. She was the main character. She went through a lot. She started off very arrogant and wanted to rush into the action. Towards the, I guess, second season, mid-second season on, she kind of became more humble. She became more wise. She wanted to think things through as opposed to just go all in with guns blazing. And just personality-wise, I think she developed a lot more. She became more of an adult. She went from being a hot-headed teenager to an adult. I think she developed pretty nicely. Okay? Well, let's look at the other characters, okay? Bolin. I think Bolin, for the most part, was useless until Season 3. I mean, he pretty much was. He was there for comedic relief. He was pretty much Sokka 0.5. Wasn't nearly as good as Sokka, so you could just tell he was the knockoff version. And, I mean, he was the earthbending character of the show, but did he really serve a purpose? Not really. He was just a friend. Until he got the lava bending ability was he ever really important. Season 3, though, he finally got some development. In Season 3 and Season 4, I do think Bolin also got some pretty good development. As for the other characters, though, no, they got some really not so good development, okay? Lin Beifong. No, not really any development at all, aside from tiny little tidbits. Season 3, she got some development. Season 4, she got just a little bit of development, but her being in the series, she pretty much became non-existent. So her being developed in the series, not really. Tenzin, another character who started off pretty well developed like Lin Beifong was, and then he kind of started disappearing from the series as it went on. Now, his Air Nation development thing, I did really like that. I think that really served his character, and it kind of saw his mission finally come to fruition while he was still alive, which was really nice. But then after that happened, he kind of just became irrelevant, for the most part. I mean, it's not that he did nothing, it's not that he just stopped being in the show or whatever, it's just that compared to the other characters, he didn't do as much. Okay, then we have Mako, who by far had the worst development of any character. Now, as opposed to the other characters I talked about, Mako really had nothing. He had nothing going for him. He was just a horrible character. And I really wanted to like him, because he seemed like he would be the cool kind of guy to get behind, but he just had nothing going for him. He sucked at dealing with relationships. He didn't really do anything in the series. He became a detective and then he became a bodyguard. And that's really it. That's all he did. Just a detective and a bodyguard. He got no sort of new ability, unlike most of the other cast members. And overall, he just was pretty useless. If you look at the overall plot of Korra going from season to season, he was just there in the final battles to do his thing. That was it. He would just fight the secondary character. And season 4, he actually didn't even really do anything, to be honest. He was just a bodyguard, and then the very last episode or two, he's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna pitch in. Bam, that's it. And yeah, so Mako, another character that pretty much did nothing. Sucks to be him. If I had to think about any other main character, another one that was actually really just disappointing for me was General Iroh, because in season 1, in the ending, well, he was never a main character, but in season 1, he was a really cool guy, and then as the series went on, he was teased a little bit in season 2. He didn't really do anything. I was like, okay, maybe he'll do something more. Season 3, he wasn't in it. In season 4, he had like 1 or 2 lines, and then he was gone. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's just when you have characters, me personally, I just like to see them develop. So, you see with the Avatar The Last Airbender, they had a lot of characters, but you got to see them throughout the series. And in Korra, they didn't really do that. They kind of came and went. So, some characters got really good development, some characters did not. He was one. He was one that just got left out in the ring. Now, as opposed, the old Avatar The Last Airbender characters, Katara, I think she served her purpose just fine. I think they used her just enough. Fine with her. Toph, they used her a lot, actually. I'm surprised at how much they used her. A little bit too much, maybe. And Zuko, they definitely underused. As much as they wanted to hype him up and his whole Zuko's mom story that they never wanted to animate because they want you to buy the dumb book, which we'll get into that in a minute. He was just kind of thrown aside and then never dealt with again. And the same thing with his daughter. His daughter appears, and then she's done. I felt like that they should have went into her character along with Fire Nation, which season 2 should have done, but it didn't. So we never once got to see the Fire Nation in Legend of Korra. That is just disappointing. And okay, so now it's time for, I guess, the ranting where it comes in with the books. Like I said, with the Zuko's mom thing. Kind of like how they left that up for, I guess, for them to make, I don't know if they planned to make a book on that. I don't think they have. They probably wanted to do something with that in the future. But you can definitely tell that they're going to make books for Legend of Korra because of all the things I've said. How they didn't develop things, they kind of just left things off. Some other things that I didn't mention, which, I mean, I'm not going to remember everything. An example would be Korra never reconnecting with her past Avatar states. I think that should have been part of the ending. That was really significant, and it kind of just was brushed aside after season 2. She's like, whatever. That's pretty important to reconnect with your past states. You know, when there's the next Avatar, it's just going to be Korra to talk to. Come on. How are you going to gain any Avatar wisdom from that? And wouldn't the whole Avatar state be rendered kind of useless if you can't tap into your previous self? You'd just be tapping into Korra's power. It seems like it'd just be kind of dumb, if you ask me, but, you know. And there's just other things in the lore, for example, the whole where the bending comes from. I don't think that was explained very well in that episode. People can debate that. I think that's more debatable. Not really a big deal, but just something. Okay, so to quickly wrap things up, because the memory on my camera is almost full. Some characters I left out. Asami got some good development here or there, but overall I felt like she was pretty useless for the most part. She did some significant things along the way, but overall as a character I don't feel like she served a big purpose. Excuse me, throughout most of the series. And Tenzin's kids, what are their names? Genova and or Genora, sorry, Genora and Milo. Yeah, those two actually, I think, did have some decent character development, but the other one, the one that liked to read books, I guess, I didn't really find her to develop that much. And Kai was kind of developed a little bit in season 3, and then season 4 he's kind of just abandoned. Same with the daughter, well, not really. The daughter of Lynn's sister, she was pretty well developed, I suppose, considering that she didn't really have a lot of screen time. But really, to briefly summarize what I'm trying to say is, the ending of season 4 should have given a lot of characters the treatment that they deserved. It should have focused on things that were really important to Korra as opposed to things that were kind of just random little ideas that they wanted to do at the last minute. So that's all I'm saying about the ending of Legend of Korra. If you enjoyed Legend of Korra's ending, that's fine. I'm not saying anything against you. It's just my thoughts, and overall I thought it didn't end properly. And I think as opposed to Avatar, which had an overarching story, this suffered partially because of Nick and partially just because of what the creators wanted to do. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I'll do an Avatar versus Korra video at another time, another day. Tell me below what your thoughts are. Like if you like, sub if you liked, and I will catch you guys later.